Good morning, and welcome to the 2017 Administrators Agency Honor Awards Program. My name is Angela McDaniel, and I am the Agency Honor Awards Program Manager with the Office of Human Capital Management at NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the MC for today's ceremony, Mr. Rob Wyman. Mr. Wyman is Langley's Office of Communications lead. He came to Langley in 2011 after a 24-year career as a public affairs officer with the U.S. Coast Guards. He now oversees the center's internal and external communications, public outreach and exhibits, special events, and protocol services for the center's VIP guests. Please help me welcome Mr. Rob Wyman.
Thank you, Angie. This annual awards ceremony is an opportunity for us to come together to honor NASA's best of the best. Before we begin, we ask those who are able to please rise for the presentation of colors by the Langley Air Force Base Color Guard and the performance of the National Anthem and Patriotic Ensemble by Woodside High School, the Meistersingers, from Newport News, Virginia, under the direction of Mr. Emilio Pesante. Please be seated. That was fantastic. We'd like to extend our appreciation to the Langley Air Force Base Color Guard, and thank you, Woodside High School, to Meisterzingers for your outstanding performance. Let's give them a round of applause. At this time, I'd like to invite our host, the Director of NASA's Langley Research Center, Dr. David Bowles, to provide his welcoming remarks.
Well, hello, and on behalf of NASA Langley Research Center, I'd like to welcome all of you to the 2017 Administrators Agency Honor Awards. It's really such a pleasure and a privilege to host this great event. First off, I want to thank our leaders for bringing the honor awards here this year in the midst of our center's centennial celebration. July 17th, 1917, a little less than 100 years ago, next month, work began on the facility that would become NASA Langley. For 100 years, we've been supplying the technical foundations and breakthrough concepts needed for mission success. So let's take a quick look at some of those things we've done over that 100 years.
100 years ago, the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, known as NACA, established the first civilian aeronautics laboratory, what is now NASA's Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia. From the beginning, Langley engineers pioneered technologies that help all of us travel safer, farther, and faster. Langley's early years focused on solving the fundamental challenges of flight. During World War II, our engineers tested planes like the P-51 Mustang in the nation's first wind tunnel built for full-size aircraft. Changes they made to these aircraft to gain speed and use less fuel helped win the war. As Langley engineers pushed the aeronautics envelope, they partnered with the military on an experimental aircraft that could fly faster than the speed of sound. And in the Bell X-1, Air Force pilot Chuck Yeager flew into history, becoming the first person to break the sound barrier. But that wasn't fast enough. So researchers at Langley went back to the wind tunnels, and by 1959, the X-15 climbed to hypersonic speeds, traveling 5 times faster than the speed of sound, paving the way for spaceflight. As the space race transformed NACA into the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, America's human spaceflight program began at NASA Langley with Project Mercury. Langley tackled the challenges of spaceflight, trained astronauts, and successfully managed Mercury, going on to play major roles in Gemini and Apollo. The moon became the next goal for America. Langley led the Lunar Orbiter program, which not only mapped the moon, but chose where man would leave those first footprints on its surface. And the 12 Apollo astronauts who made those footprints came to NASA Langley to train. Langley engineers also developed the Lunar Orbit Rendezvous concept, an idea that allowed those astronauts to fly to the moon and return safely to Earth. Atmospheric science work began at NASA Langley in the early 1970s. As researchers learned more about the air around us, they improved measurements of Earth's atmosphere, detected dangerous pollutants, and forever changed our understanding of the air we breathe. But planes that flew higher and faster raised concerns about environmental impact. So NASA's science went airborne. By taking instruments to the sky, Langley had a new perspective on our atmosphere. Using what we learned about traveling through Earth's atmosphere, researchers began to figure out how we could land on other planets. NASA Langley led the first successful U.S. mission to the surface of the Red Planet, with the Viking 1 landing in 1976, setting the stage for our journey to Mars. NASA's space shuttle was an essential step on that journey. Langley evaluated shuttle designs, improved materials, and tested landing systems crucial to all 135 shuttle missions. Easier access to space meant more satellites that could be used to observe Earth's atmosphere from above. Learning more about our atmosphere helped us understand the thinning of the ozone layers and its long-term effects. For decades, Langley's instruments and spacecraft have studied air quality, pollution, climate, and the energy from the sun, helping us protect our planet today and in the future. With an eye toward energy conservation, Langley Aeronautics engineers developed winglets, saving billions of dollars in fuel and reducing pollution. In the search for even greener, quieter aircraft, researchers returned to Langley wind tunnels and computer labs to design new planes like those with blended wing bodies. NASA Langley Research Center continues to create firsts in aeronautics, science, and exploration, inspiring future generations to make the next giant leap for humankind.
Well, that proud legacy of problem solving continues today. This year we've been testing the Space Launch Systems Block 1B design in our 14 by 22 foot subsonic tunnel. Elsewhere, work continues to push ahead on Orion's launch abort system and with NASA's Commercial Crew Program. Also, we've seen our atmospheric science instrument, SAGE-3, launch earlier this year and be successfully installed on the ISS. And in conjunction with NASA's industry partners and our colleagues across the agency, we've been working on X-plane concepts to tame the sonic boom and one day bring back supersonic flight over land. It's an exciting time this year to be at Langley. And I'm so glad we're able to host this event honoring the passion and excellence of all the people who make this possible. Today we focus on the men and women who've made great achievements possible. Without their talent, drive, and ingenuity, and that so many more dedicated employees, rockets could never leave the launch pad, and our bold plans could not take flight. So again, it's my great honor to welcome all of you to NASA Langley, the nation's first civilian aeronautical laboratory, and our agency's first field center. So at this time, I'd like to introduce NASA's acting Deputy Administrator and former Center Director, Lisa Rowe. So Lisa, come on up.
Well, it's great to be here at NASA Langley this morning. Good morning to all. And it's great to be here with so many of our folks across our NASA centers that I've had have been fortunate enough to work with over my career. So I can say, honestly, it feels like home. NASA Langley is and always has been vital to our nation in aeronautics and space. So it's very fitting today to be holding our Administrators Honor Awards here, celebrating all of your accomplishments as we celebrate NASA Langley's 100th anniversary. And by the way, 100 never looks so good. So congratulations to all of our distinguished honorees, all of the family and friends that are with us here today. Thank you to our acting administrator, Robert Lightfoot, for his amazing leadership of this great agency. And thanks to everyone who took part in making this such a special event today. This is the best part of my job, where I get to recognize our employees in all facets of our work that we do. The world knows the very public face of NASA we see with our launches, with our astronauts, with our scientific missions that are just making huge discoveries. These honor awards get a chance to really recognize the full scope of the work that we do. Without the work of the people in this room, we wouldn't get on and off our own home planet. So it's amazing, the accomplishments that we do. The work that you are doing is amazing, incredible, and unprecedented things, and it'll lead to a future of amazing and unprecedented things. So I thank you for all of that. It's our great privilege with these honor awards to tell your stories and sing your praises. So the work we do takes a team, and the folks that we are honoring today have been nominated by members of that team. So someone took that step to nominate each and every one of you that we're honoring today because they feel like you are truly deserving. And that makes these awards even more special because you're being recognized by your colleagues, your peers. And I hope that going forward, each of you think about that and nominate, and those remotely as well, and nominate your colleagues for next year's awards or awards thereafter. We are blessed and surrounded by excellence, and we want to make sure that we recognize all of that. And finally, I want to commend each of our distinguished honorees for being a mentor and a role model. Passing the torch to those behind us is the greatest contribution that you can give to NASA and to our nation. and to make sure that we're going to continue to be great for the next 100 years. So thank you for being that very role model and leader. So it is my pleasure now to introduce the man who has been moving our agency forward during a time of great excitement and transition. It has been my great honor to get to serve with this person, so please join me in welcoming our NASA's Acting Administrator, Robert Lightfoot.
Well, good morning. This is a celebration, y'all. Good morning. Good morning. All right, that's much better. I want to thank Dave Bowles and Lisa for the kind words and getting us started. I really want to thank everybody who joined us here today, whether you're here at Langley or across the agency. It is really an honor for me to be part of this. This is a great day for me. This is a day I get excited about. I think we should all be excited about recognizing and honoring our teams and the individuals that we're going to get to see today. I want to thank everybody that's worked so hard to get this ceremony put in place, though, too, before we get started. I think our Office of Human Capital Management has done a fantastic job, and our NASA Shared Services group down in Mississippi have done just a wonderful job getting this set up so that we can really, truly honor these folks for the work they've done. You know, our workforce continues a legacy of amazing accomplishments for this great nation. I am proud to recognize the honorees today, the folks that are here with us. You represent the very best of achievement in every area that we work in this agency. Human spaceflight, science, technology, aeronautics, and those mission-enabling functions that we often forget to mention and talk about that allow those of us in the trenches to get the work done. We've got a big mix here. We've got a mix of scientists, engineers, managers, communicators, innovators, leaders in every sense of the word. And I think you'll see that as we go through that. We present today these are the highest honors that NASA bestows on our workforce, the Distinguished Service Medal and the Distinguished Public Service Medal. We celebrate the excellence of these honorees and their teams throughout the agency because I guarantee you each one of these folks would say, I didn't do this by myself. There's a team behind me that did it. We celebrate what they've done, and we want you guys to feel honored. We want you to feel like you're being recognized for what you've done because we're super proud of you. And we couldn't ask for more from every one of you, and we want to celebrate your accomplishments today because you guys are the ones that are helping us meet the grand challenges this agency needs to get through. And you're a great example. The other thing that I see in everyone in this room, especially the ones I know personally, is that great passion that you have for what we're trying to do. That passion it's just contagious to the rest of us. And when you read the write-ups and when you hear what these folks have done today, I hope it'll help you as well. But you know, it's more than just the honorees and their teams back at home. It's their families and their support system. So if you're here with an honoree supporting them, would you please stand? We'd like to give you guys a round of applause. Family members, come on, you can do it. You guys, whether you know it or not, you're part of our family, and you allow those of us that work in this agency, you allow us to go get to do what we love to do. And whether that means picking up the kids at a ball game late, whether it means eating dinner late, or whether it means just listening to us whine when we get home, right? It's really important what you do, and I think our honorees would admit that you guys are part of that. So thank you very much for supporting them as we move forward. You know, today's ceremony is intended to highlight the distinguished contributions of all the honorees, and hopefully will inspire and engage those watching. As Lisa said, you know, somebody nominated these folks, and I hope somebody thinks about nominating one of their colleagues, one of their peers moving forward. It's very important for us to do that, and when you see somebody do that. The other thing we did is about 3 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, we moved the ceremony. We used to all do this at headquarters, and we decided that it was important for us to get out into the agency. So I mean, I thought it was a great idea by Human Capital to go do that. So we started at Kennedy. We did Ames last year. I think I'm getting that right. And here we are at Langley. And I cannot think of a better place to be this year than Langley Research Center. I have all these remarks I was going to share about what Langley's done, but you saw the video, right? And there's no way I'm going to top that video. That was just an awesome example of what Langley does for this agency, and we should be here for Langley's 100th. That's why we're here, and I think it was a great example. And it gives our honorees a chance to see maybe something they haven't seen before. So Dave, thank you again for hosting us. Really proud of the Langley team You guys really epitomize what all our centers epitomize, that breadth of leadership and that breadth of passion toward getting our missions done. Thank you again for having us. So as we move forward thinking about the honorees here and everything that we're doing, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the whole workforce, the whole NASA workforce, for what they do every day. It's another banner year for us. We were the best place to work in government as rated by you for the 5th year in a row. So it's not a bad place to be. And I'm really proud of the teams for what they do. We're together we're achieving incredible things. This is what we do. And as you can see from these honorees, it takes everyone from all areas to make sure we're successful. It's a lot of different areas, and you're going to see the breadth of that as we go through this. The missions we're trying to do, they aren't easy, and they aren't for the faint of heart. Think about it. We're rewriting textbooks every day. With our discoveries, the scientific knowledge gained through the missions, whether they're looking at our home planet, looking at our star, the sun, or looking at the other planets in the solar system, or whether we're looking out into the universe to try to understand the origins of this universe and life as we know it, or whether we're pushing humans further into space than we ever have before, to explore the unknown and frankly provide that human experience back to those of us on terra firma, those trapped here that don't get to go, to give us that experience, because you know what, I truly believe that exploration is written in our DNA, the same way it was from the explorers who crossed the Atlantic, who went to the poles of this great planet, or who summited Mount Everest years ago. That's what we do. We continue to do the fundamental aeronautics and space technology work, the things that really lay the foundation, much like the video David showed for what Langley did early on, laying that foundation for the nation's industry and the innovation that we pursue and we push as an agency. You honorees today, you're part of that legacy. Right? And I'm reminded every time we have one of these, I just have to say it because I'm reminded of what happened when I used to talk to the Apollo guys. You say, golly, did you guys know you were making history? And they always say, I was just doing my job. And I guarantee each of you feel that way. But you're part of that legacy that's made history for so many years in this agency. And we're going to stand on your shoulders. You're part of a legacy that inspires the next generation. I mean, think about it. We had 18,000 people apply to be astronauts. 18,000 people for a group of 12, right? Don't tell me we're not inspiring people. Don't tell me that our mission doesn't inspire folks. And again, you guys are foundational, the honorees are, to what we do from that perspective. You are part of that inspiration and part of that leadership. Each of the recipients has demonstrated that drive to reach to the higher bar. They've driven the rest of us to reach for a higher bar. They raise that bar all the time for everyone around them. And I know some of you have retired, and I'll be glad to see you up here in a little bit, give you a hug and thank you for what you've done. But we're going to build on the legacy that you created, that you worked so hard to create, really. I'm going to give you a sample of the breadth and diversity of today's honorees and their contribution to the mission we're trying to do in the agency. And you'll see this later, but I just want to give you a sample, right? And I think it really articulates in the best way possible everything we do in this agency and what each of you individually has done. And it will show you what all it takes to run this agency too, right? Launch vehicle development for certification in flight, from shuttle to our next generation systems. The health of our astronauts. Cutting edge fundamental engineering and research, whether it's aerothermodynamics, or fracture control. Studying and improving our understanding of our home planet. Next generation and advanced spacecraft instruments to help us better understand as well. Ensuring we can bring on board the talent we need to accomplish our mission, and then making sure that when that talent gets here, there's a diverse and inclusive workplace for them to be part of. Mentoring that next generation. Connecting our agency to the rest of the federal government through policy and personal relationships with the administration and Congress. Ensuring we have strong financial performance and are good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. Ensuring effective and efficient operations of our field centers, like right here at Langley. Expanding our knowledge and understanding of the sun. Assuming the aviation systems that we develop are safe and ready for use in the nation's airspace. Communicating our story to expand the understanding and to inspire the next generation and the public. Engaging with our international partners to make sure our missions are successful. And developing those future architectures for those distant missions so that we move from our own imaginations to reality. That's what the honorees today have done. Pretty awesome stuff. Pretty awesome stuff. So thank you for that. You know, NASA, all our accomplishments are built through collaboration, commitment, and deeply held passions. I thank all of you, especially the day's honorees, for keeping NASA strong each and every day and helping us make that impossible possible. Please join me now in recognizing our colleagues who have done exceptional work this year and in celebrating the incredible missions that are unfolding right now as our agency continues to provide great value of innovation, inspiration for this nation. I want you to listen closely when you hear about each one's accomplishments. Take it all in. And I think what you'll find is you'll be just as proud of these guys and what this agency's doing as I am. It's a neat time to be in the agency, and for the honorees, thank you for what you've done to get us to where we are today. We'll build off of we'll stand on your shoulders for many years to come, and I look forward to seeing you all up here. Thank you. And at this time, I'll have Lisa come join me on the stage so we can get going on handing out some awards. And remember, this is a celebration. I expect to hear some hooping and hollering when these guys get up here. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so let's get to it then. Ladies and gentlemen, each year NASA recognizes individuals who've made outstanding and valuable contributions to NASA's mission success. The individuals being honored today have been selected to receive one of two prestigious awards. First is the Distinguished Service Medal. This is NASA's highest form of recognition that is awarded to a government employee who, by distinguished service, ability, or vision, has personally contributed to NASA's advancement of United States interests. The individual's achievement or contribution must demonstrate a level of excellence that has made a profound or indelible impact on NASA mission success, and therefore, the contribution is so extraordinary that other forms of recognition by NASA would be inadequate. Our first honoree is Mr. Mike French.
Mike French, what can I say? Hopefully I'll embarrass him with my comments. Mike was sort of a lifesaver for me. He had served as a deputy to Chris Liu over in the Cabinet Secretary's office, which meant he tried to herd cats with all of the President Obama's cabinet secretaries. He learned a lot there, and he became the troubleshooter, the guy to go help agencies that needed help. So he went from there over to the Department of Interior, where he made a big difference. And I was fortunate enough, or all of us in the NASA family were fortunate enough, to have him to come over and serve initially as the Deputy Chief of Staff and then take over the reins of Chief of Staff. And Mike was incredible. His grasp of how government works, his knowledge of how to make things happen here in D.C., and then his fervor for getting to do work with our international programs, and as well as to get to know the details of everything that we were doing here. Mike, you did an absolutely superb job. Congratulations on this incredibly well-deserved award.
Mr. French is being recognized for relentless pursuit of excellence across NASA, government, and industry, and inspirational support and advancement of our nation's aeronautics and space programs. The next honoree is Dr. Peter A. Noffo.
Why is Peter Noffo deserving of this distinguished recognition? Over a 40-plus year career, Dr. Peter Noffo has had direct mission impact in the field of entry environment modeling for all of NASA's human spaceflight, the Space Shuttle Orbiter, Orion MPCV, and Access to Space programs, as well as Mars planetary exploration vehicles, such as Pathfinder and MSL. This impact was achieved through deep subject matter excellence as the designer and developer of the agency's first general-purpose, high-fidelity aerothermodynamic CFD code, which has set the benchmark for accuracy and efficiency for the past 30 years. But Dr. Nafo's truly distinguishing feature is his gracious, humble, and inspiring mentorship. He is a technical leader of a generation of the EDL community at Langley, as well as influencing across the agency and in academia, both nationally and with international NATO partners. For all of these contributions, Dr. Nafo is recognized as a truly distinguished leader throughout NASA.
Dr. Nafo is being recognized for distinguished impact on the success of human spaceflight and planetary exploration missions in the field of aerothermodynamics. Our next honoree is Miss Kelly Hayhurst.
Why is Kelly Hayhurst deserving of this distinguished recognition? For over 35 years, Kelly Hayhurst has distinguished herself as an outstanding leader and technical authority who has made sustained and exceptional contributions to increasing the safety of aviation software, contributions that have been widely recognized by NASA, the FAA, the RTCA, and many others. Her software certification research results have had far-reaching impact, including serving as case study material used by the FAA in mandatory courses for software approval engineers. Her leadership as the U.S. chairperson for the Formal Methods subgroup of RTCA SC205 resulted in the first ever guidance available for how to use formal methods in compliance with civil aviation software assurance standards. And her recent investigations into certification methodologies for UAS have resulted in provisionally patented safety technology for mitigating UAS flyaway hazards. Ms. Hayhurst's career exemplifies professionalism and commitment to excellence, and her contributions as a national and international leader in software certification have been profound and enduring.
Ms. Hayhurst is being recognized for distinguished service, sustained excellence, and exceptional contributions to the advancement of safety critical assurance technologies. The next honoree is Dr. Michael Hesse.
Steve Kempler worked as a science data processing expert throughout his career at NASA. He bridged the gap between scientists, computers, and satellite data. He changed the way we analyze space-based instrument measurements. He did this by developing computer software for widespread use and by showing scientists how to use state-of-the-art computer systems. He had a vision of expanding the use of satellite data back when NASA's data were only available to project teams. In his early years, he processed the remarkable images from the Voyager flyby missions. He later led the implementation of the Earth Observing System Science Data Processing Toolkit. This was the first set of standard data access tools widely used across Earth observing systems. Steve deserves this recognition for his work spearheading an era of science data processing capabilities that have played a critical role in the most successful Earth and space science programs at NASA. Steve, congratulations, and thanks for your distinguished service.
So this award is actually for Mr. Stephen Kempler. And Mr. Kempler is being recognized for distinguished service in the development of NASA Earth Science data products and services. Mosher. The next honoree is Ms. Carol Mosier.
Carol Mosier's career with NASA epitomizes the word exceptional. Carol has been a long-standing member of the thermal engineering branch, renowned for the thermal engineering course that she developed. This course has been instrumental in the development of past and present thermal and system engineers and will be serving thermal engineers of the future. Carol has been nothing less than remarkable throughout her career in supporting a number of highly visible and important missions, including the cosmic background explorer, COBE. The science from the COBE mission is one of the key reasons Dr. John Mather received a Nobel Prize in physics. On COBE, Carol, along with mechanical engineer Sandra Irish, developed an analytical method called stop analysis, an integrated analysis for structural, thermal, and optical systems, a tool that is still widely used today. Despite her emeritus status, Carol continues to be a highly distinguished member of the thermal engineering branch. The legacy she continues to leave behind makes it a privilege to honor her with this award.
Ms. Mosier is being recognized for exceptional sustained performance and dedication to achieve high levels of success toward the past, present, and future NASA missions. Our next honoree is Mr. Ronald Mueller.
Well, the Distinguished Service Medal is awarded to NASA employees for outstanding contributions to the NASA mission. Ron Mueller has over 25 years of outstanding contributions, has always put the NASA mission above himself, and he has personally cared about our employees every day. So Ron started at NASA in 1991. He was a fluids and mechanical systems engineer for the Space Shuttle program, where he prepared over 40 Space Shuttle missions for flight. From there, he did a detail to NASA headquarters in the Office of Spaceflight, where he was on the ground floor of the Expendable Launch Vehicle program creation. When Ron came back, he was a mission manager for the Launch Services program, and today he's the chief of the Fluids and Propulsion Engineering branch, preparing commercial missions with his team for taking NASA payloads into outer space. His passion for NASA is infectious. When you're around him, more people just get fired up and want to do great things. And having been a supervisor of Ron's, I've had some of his employees come to me and say things like, best supervisor I've ever had. So when you look at the Distinguished Service Medal, you say, Ron Mueller is the type of person that is deserving of this award. And I've really been honored to work with him.
Mr. Mueller is being recognized for distinguished service, ability, and vision, leading to a profound and indelible impact on NASA's Space Shuttle, launch services, and commercial crew programs. The next honoree is Dr. Paul Newman.
Make the world a better place. We're all supposed to do that. Paul Newman is a person whose work has actually made the world a better place. Paul is an extraordinary research scientist whose work has led to fundamental understanding of the Earth's ozone layer. Paul is also an international scientific leader who's worked for the past decade at the intersection of science, economics, law, and diplomacy, strengthening the Montreal Protocol Treaty, which is leading to ozone layer recovery. The scientific assessments co-chaired by Paul identified an important unintended consequence of the treaty. Hydrofluorocarbons, HCFCs, do not deplete ozone, but they're important greenhouse gases. Informed by this science, the international community has acted and signed the 2016 Kigali Amendments to the Montreal Protocol, phasing down HCFC emissions. Paul's scientific leadership has helped the world avoid this additional greenhouse warming, making the world a better place.
Dr. Newman is being recognized for sustained leadership, strengthening the scientific basis of the Montreal Protocol, resulting in the 2016 Kigali Amendment controlling hydrofluorocarbon emissions. Our next honoree is Mr. David Radznowski.
What can one say about David Radznowski other than just awesome? From the fitness center in the morning where he led us no matter what we were doing, to serving for a while as my chief of staff and then finishing off his time here as our chief financial officer. He was a difference maker. He was a game breaker, a deal maker in getting us to coordinate with the Office of Science and Technology Policy, with OMB in particular, and with the Hill. Dave did an absolutely extraordinary job in helping NASA to get funded adequately and to keep us as strong as we were. So Dave, thanks very much for all that you did for all of us.
Mr. Resnowski is being recognized for extraordinary career contributions, distinguished service, and outstanding leadership in support of our nation's aeronautics and space programs. The next honoree is Mr. Patrick Troutman.
It is my pleasure to speak to why Pat Troutman is so deserving of this recognition. Since 1984, when Pat and I started working together, he has given selflessly of his time and energy to shape the future of the agency's human exploration architectures. Since the early days of Working Space Station, he's been a visionary leader on every human exploration study, including the most recent Evolvable Mars campaign. Pat's leadership and integration abilities combine very complex technical issues while balancing competing stakeholder guidance, mission goals, performance constraints, and policies. Quite clearly, Pat has earned a reputation in the agency as the go-to guy. If there's a shift in direction, you want Pat to be part of your team. He provides the vision and creative thinking to develop an architecture when there are competing priorities and complexities. He's got that can-do attitude that makes everyone around him want to do their best, and he sees the best in everyone around him. Pat, you are amazing. Congratulations. You deserve this award.
Mr. Troutman is being recognized for distinguished service as a visionary leader in the advancement of NASA's human exploration architecture. Our next honoree is Ms. Teresa Washington.
On behalf of Marshall Space Flight Center and Todd May, the Center Director, we'd like to congratulate you on your Distinguished Service Medal. It is a medal that is well deserved. Teresa, you have done wonderful things for Marshall Space Flight Center, from your early career as a lawyer to how you finished out your career in the Office of Human Capital. You've always made an investment in the folks at Marshall Space Flight Center, helping us to be a stronger team, guiding us and helping us to do the right things for the future, a focus on diversity and inclusion, and also paying it forward to the next generation. You're also paying it forward now as you've retired, and you're going forward to helping young women. So we really appreciate all you've done. Thank you, and this is a well-deserved honor.
Ms. Washington is being recognized for 34 years of distinguished service to NASA that has made a profound impact on NASA's mission success. The next honoree is Mr. David Weaver.
Hello, David Weaver. David sort of came over and taught me a lot about how do you communicate NASA's story? How do you tell NASA's story? I tasked David as the head of the communications shop with trying to bring us together as an agency, trying to coordinate what was going on among the 9 disparate NASA centers plus JPL, and then all of our industry partners. And I tell you, he was a champion. He laid out a strategic plan. He got us all focused on a singular message that enabled us to tell our story time after time after time after time. And he just revolutionized the way that NASA handles its communication. So David, as the agency's best ever storyteller and coordination of communications. Thanks so very much. This is very richly deserved.
Mr. Weaver is being recognized for exemplary strategic leadership, dedication, and distinguished service to NASA, leading communications across the agency, government, and industry. Our next honoree is Mr. Richard Williams.
You know, Dr. Rich Williams has been the Chief Health and Medical Officer of the agency for over 15 years. The policies that are in place right now, the genetics policy, the ethics policy, the quality policy, all are due to Rich Williams. And those are long lead time policies that actually lay the foundations for the healthcare network that we will have for exploration missions. And they're imperative for those missions. And it just shows you that Rich really thinks long term and has the agency's interest at heart. And so it's, you know, I'm honored to follow Rich and congratulate him on this award, and they're really big shoes to fill. Congrats, Rich.
Mr. Williams is being recognized for distinguished, sustained leadership of NASA's healthcare system, establishment of health and medical technical authority, and enhancement of astronaut healthcare. The next honoree is Dr. Michael Hesse.
Michael Hesse's contribution to the field of heliophysics is exceptional and broad, but it has had a particularly special impact on the Heliophysics Science Division at Goddard. His leadership and dedication has not only helped propel our division to be world leaders in many areas, but it has truly inspired and motivated many scientists at all levels. Beyond his extraordinary leadership, he is to be commended for a multitude of successes. But one that stands out, the fact that his theoretical predictions form the basis for the science requirements and design of one of our largest missions, MMS. This is just one example of his widespread impact, which illustrates how well he enables world-class science in our field. What is most impressive is Michael's ability to maintain his role as a prolific researcher. I would like to personally thank him for being such a great role model, and although he has moved on from Goddard, his impact will be felt for years to come. In his words, full speed ahead.
Dr. Hesse is being recognized for exemplary service to NASA, leading Goddard's Spaceflight Center's Heliophysics Science Division. Our second and final presentation is the Distinguished Public Service Medal. The Distinguished Public Service Medal is NASA's highest form of recognition that is awarded to any non-government individual or to an individual who is not a government employee during the period in which the service was performed, whose distinguished service, ability, or vision has personally contributed to NASA's advancement of United States interests. The individual's achievement or contribution must demonstrate a level of excellence that has made a profound or indelible impact to NASA mission success. Therefore, the contribution is so extraordinary that other forms of recognition by NASA would be inadequate. Our first honoree is Mr. Terry Abel.
Terry Abel deserves this award because he was, he is, and he always will be dedicated to the concerns of young professionals. Terry is passionate about sharing with students the many opportunities that are going to be open to them once they graduate. Through Terry's persuasion, Lockheed Martin became the leading sponsor of the Human Exploration Rover Challenge. And Lockheed is also the sole supporter of Marshall's internship program. His leadership in the National Space led that organization to make him the leader of their outreach program. Terry Abel knows how to connect with students. Call it empathy, call it caring, call it compassion. He has them all in his soul. The cornerstone of Terry's engagement with students is his heart. Terry believes that the Lord has blessed him with these opportunities to work with students.
Mr. Abel is being recognized for exceptional dedication to the education of young aerospace professionals by sponsoring, organizing, and participating in activities related to space exploration. The next honoree is Mr. Frank Bauer.
I'm thrilled Frank Bauer is receiving this award. Frank's career goes back to his time at Goddard, where he was a GN&C, a guidance, navigation, and control expert. He was the chief of the GN&C division at Goddard, and then he went up to NASA headquarters, where he was the chief engineer for exploration systems. He retired from the agency in 2011, and it's really his continued contributions after his retirement for which this award is based. Frank is an expert in GPS. He supports NASA headquarters. He travels with the U.S. team representing the nation at GPS policy meetings at the UN. He's both a technical expert and a policy expert, and specifically in the last few years, he's been a visionary for the space service volume, allowing GPS satellites to help our satellites know where they are. Thank you, Frank.
Mr. Bauer is being recognized for distinguished public service in enabling the enhanced use of the Global Positioning System for satellites by NASA and the United States. Our next honoree is Dr. Eric DeYoung.
The evolution of the visualization tools has greatly impacted the way we do scientific investigations on planetary bodies. And one of the pioneers of this research has been our own Eric DeYoung. Since Eric first got to JPL in 1990, he has championed the idea of a persistent virtual presence in space. What this does is it allows us to virtually look at where we are and what we're looking at from individual missions by use of digital technology and high-resolution imaging. He is championed in the proposal phase, in the mission phase, and in the operational phase, using images returned from these spacecraft to show the public and science community at large what the mission is actually looking at in a unique way that enables us to actually feel like we're being there. His ability to take a single camera and then turn those images into stereo 3D is really scientifically powerful and visually powerful as well for the public. I know Eric did not get into this business for the awards. He got into this business because he's got a passion for space exploration and he wants to bring that to the entire world. We do congratulate him on receiving this award and are very proud of his work in the past 25 years at JPL.
Young is being recognized for unparalleled contributions to the public appreciation of humanity's exploration of the cosmos through the creation of extraordinary visualization experiences. Our next honoree is being recognized posthumously, Mr. Edward Devine.
Ed Devine was one of the founding fathers of mechanism and optomechanical device technology at NASA Goddard. In 1988, when I started work in the electromechanical systems branch, Ed had already retired from the government and started work in the private sector. However, Ed's influence never left. He continued to work within the aerospace industry and supported numerous Goddard projects. Ed set a standard of excellence for himself and all of his colleagues. He had an ability to quickly evaluate a mechanism, provide insight into design weaknesses, and foster the exchange of knowledge between younger and seasoned engineers alike. One of Ed's top priorities was the continuation of excellence in engineering. The bottom line is that Ed was the go-to guy to get advice on a problem or an idea for a solution. He was a treasure to the family of the mechanism engineers at Goddard, to NASA, and the nation.
Miss Diana Devine will be accepting this honor today on behalf of her late father. Mr. Devine is being recognized for a lifetime of service and dedication to the development of spaceflight mechanical systems and the education of young engineers. Our next honoree is Dr. Alan Hargens.
I am delighted to be a part of this presentation of the Distinguished Public Service Medal for Dr. Alan Hargens. He's written over 8 books, over 300 peer-reviewed articles, over 56 book chapters, and has 8 patents. But that truly does not really describe the magnitude of his work with NASA over the past 30 years. His work in cardiovascular deconditioning and exercise countermeasures have really helped to pave the path for long-duration spaceflight, especially as we're looking towards Mars. Dr. Hargens is not only a world-class scientist, a NASA researcher, a professor of orthopedics, but he's also a tremendous mentor, and I am privileged to say friend. It is an absolute privilege to be a part of this presentation of this award. I know that there are so many others around the country and around the world that are applauding today as well. So congratulations, Dr. Hargens.
Dr. Hargens is being recognized for outstanding scientific contributions to NASA to expand the knowledge of cardiovascular and musculoskeletal health risks in astronauts during spaceflight. The next honoree is Mr. Kauser Emtiez.
Kauser was nominated for this distinguished award for his years of dedication and expertise in structural engineering that's played an important role in the success and longevity of the International Space Station. He led the design of the common berthing mechanism that's been used over 60 times on the ISS. He also developed a software program that is used to analyze the structural health of the ISS. I personally relied heavily on Kauser's expertise and analysis when I led the failure recovery of the starboard sarge. The rolling surface of this joint had been compromised and there was fear of through cracks that could cause the solar race to be lost. His detailed analysis eliminated our fears. Kauser is the one name known throughout the ISS community for structural engineering, including the numerous international partners that are part of the ISS. For all this plus more, he is well deserving for this distinctive honor as a recipient of the Distinguished Public Service Medal.
Mr. Emtiez is being recognized for distinguished service and leadership in international cooperation and advancements in International Space Station structural integrity and fracture control. Our next honoree is Mr. Edward Nace.
Ed Nace is highly deserving of the Distinguished Public Service Medal for his extraordinary and unwavering commitment to mission operations here at Goddard. Ed started his career at Goddard in 1969 as a tape librarian, and his contributions span a multitude of missions, beginning with the Dynamics Explorer in '83 and '84, including COBE, SOHO, and to the present day, ACE and WIND. Ed's contributions were fundamental in introducing autonomous systems into ground system development and mission operations here at Goddard, resulting not only in a reduction of costs, but an increase in the number of missions that we are able to handle simultaneously. I just want to close by wishing Ed congratulations on this well-deserved award.
Mr. Nace is being recognized for significant and lasting contributions to mission operations, extraordinary service to NASA, dedication to fellow employees, and outstanding work ethic. The next honoree is Mr. Christopher Russell.
Chris Russell has had an extremely distinguished career spanning more than 50 years at the University of California, Los Angeles. He's made an indelible mark on space science. Chris is an expert on building and flying magnetometers to measure magnetic fields throughout the solar system. He began with the Apollo 15 and 16 missions, went on to pioneer Venus Orbiter, the International Sun-Earth Explorers 1 and 2, the Polar Mission, Fast Auroral Snapshot, Space Technology 5, the Galileo mission to Jupiter, and currently the Magnetospheric Multiscale mission and the InSight lander to Mars. Chris is also part of the team building the magnetometer system for the Europa Clipper mission. Chris has served as a co-I on numerous space science missions, including Cassini, Stereo, Venus Express, and Rosetta, and since 2000 has been the principal investigator of the Dawn mission to Vesta and Ceres. Another quality that distinguishes Chris is his generosity with his time. He's trained and mentored dozens of students and researchers in a broad range of scientific topics. For all these reasons, Chris is richly deserving of the NASA Distinguished Public Service Medal. I congratulate you, Chris.
Mr. Russell is being recognized for distinguished public service to NASA in the exploration of planetary interiors and magnetospheres and leading Dawn's groundbreaking exploration of Vesta and Ceres. Our next honoree is Mr. John Salisbury.
On behalf of the Stages Office, the SLS program, and the Marshall Space Flight Center, it is my honor to congratulate John Salisbury on his receiving of the Distinguished Service Medal. John is a tooling engineer for Boeing. He's been responsible for managing the $350 million worth of tooling that have been installed and are currently operational at the Michoud Assembly Facility for the manufacture of the core stage hardware. In particular, John led the recovery of the Vertical Assembly Center alignment issue so that one-of-a-kind, state-of-the-art facility is now back in operation and producing hardware for the SLS program. So on behalf of the agency, the Marshall Space Flight Center, the SLS program, and the Stages Office in particular, congratulations, John, on your award.
Mr. Salisbury is being recognized for exemplary dedication and service in the development, installation, and operation of the Space Launch System's core stage vertical assembly center manufacturing tool. The next honoree is Mr. John Sterrett.
John Sterrett is really a legend at Kennedy Space Center. He started his career back in 1979 as we prepared Columbia for its inaugural launch on STS-1. He was a main propulsion system engineer, ensuring that that vehicle was ready to go fly, a job that he did over the course of the Space Shuttle program for 124 out of 135 missions, which is really unprecedented. If there was a problem in the main propulsion system or the cryoprop system, you could bet that John was going to be right in the middle of figuring out what was wrong, how to fix it, and how to get us back flying. After the Space Shuttle program was complete, he joined the Jacobs team at Kennedy on the test operations and support contract, where he has continued to apply his expertise and his knowledge to the flight and the ground systems that will be used for the SLS vehicle. He's part of the team that is getting ready for Exploration Mission 1, or EM1. So John's one of those folks that you're really proud. You're proud to know him. You're proud to have him on your team. You're proud to work with him. You know, you're really blessed just to have him be a part of this Exploration Mission 1 team.
Mr. Sterrett is being recognized for unprecedented cryogenic propulsion technical leadership, benefiting human spaceflight and exploration programs. Our next honoree is Mr. Foreman Williams.
Professor Foreman Williams is a world-renowned combustion scientist. He has had a long-standing and fruitful association with NASA for over 4 decades, beginning when he pioneered the use of space-based microgravity facilities to perform combustion research. He has been the principal investigator for 6 highly successful space-based experiments. Recently, Professor Williams and his team discovered the sustained low-temperature burning of fuel droplets, something the larger peer community thought to be impossible. This discovery will have profound influences on advancing the design of internal combustion engines. Over the years, Professor Williams has mentored countless researchers both inside and outside of NASA. He generously offers the benefit of his unparalleled years of experience and deep insights to researchers of all levels. The students and scientists and engineers he has mentored are now leading researchers and administrators in academia, industry, and government, where they are educating the next generation of scientists and engineers.
Mr. Williams is being recognized for outstanding contributions to the field of combustion science and for his pioneering work using microgravity space experiments to reveal exciting new phenomena. Our final honoree is Ms. Roberta Wyrick.
Roberta Wyrick has provided outstanding service to NASA over the years. It has spanned decades and it has spanned programs. She started her career prior to the first shuttle flight, prior to STS-1, and she pioneered the ground launch sequencer software, which is the software that's used in the terminal portion of counts. The software that Roberta worked on all those years ago served 30 years in the program through all 135 flights. Of course, there were changes to it over the years, but the work that she put in the early days would really built the foundation of what we would use for many years to come. Over the course of time, Roberta moved to the Orbiter Test Conductor office, where she served as a launch OTC, or Launch Orbiter Test Conductor. She served in that role for 16 missions, and as those final minutes ticked off the countdown clock, it was Roberta's voice that many flight crews heard. She's really a trailblazer because she started her work in a time where there wasn't a lot of women that were working in a technical field, and certainly not in a launch leadership role. You know, Roberta has coached and mentored so many test conductors, test directors, myself included. She's meant an awful lot to me as a colleague, as a coach, as a mentor, and as a friend.
Ms. Wyrick is being recognized for enabling human spaceflight and exploration through superior test management leadership that spans multiple programs. At this time, we'd like to take a moment to recognize those distinguished service and distinguished public service medal honorees that could not join us today. Mr. Stephen Cash.
On behalf of Marshall Space Flight Center and Todd May, the Center Director, I would like to extend our heartfelt congratulations to Steve Cash for the Distinguished Service Medal. Your career of over 34 years at Marshall Space Flight Center has left a legacy. You have always taken to heart being a leader and guiding us through many difficult situations. Through your career in the Solid Rocket Booster Program Office, in the Space Shuttle Program Office, where you led us through return to flight and a safe flyout of the shuttle, as well as in your current role when you retired as the Safety and Mission Assurance Director. You always put the people first, you left a legacy, and you always left us appreciating everything you did to make us a stronger team. Again, we wish you the best. Congratulations on this distinguished award. It is so well deserved. You make us proud.
Mr. Cash is being recognized for distinguished service, outstanding technical and leadership abilities, and exceptional dedication to the Marshall Space Flight Center and the agency. Dr. Jeffrey Davis.
Congratulations to Dr. Jeff Davis. Jeff led our Human Health and Performance Directorate for 12 years. One of his main accomplishments was the creation of the Human System Risk Board, which brought together people with experience ranging from clinical operations to researchers in order to identify and manage risks to astronaut health and performance. He also instituted the Health and Medical Technical Authority at the Johnson Space Center and across all NASA centers where human spaceflight is supported. He led the Multilateral Space Medicine Board, working with all of the international space agencies to medically certify ISS crew members. Jeff also pioneered NASA's approach to open innovation and developed model innovation programs that are widely used and referenced both across NASA and in other government agencies and commercial enterprises. For all of these accomplishments, we're proud and happy to see Jeff receive the NASA Distinguished Service Medal.
Dr. Davis is being recognized for exceptional leadership of the Human Health and Performance Directorate and advancement of NASA's human spaceflight mission. Ms. Robin Henderson.
On behalf of Marshall Space Flight Center and Todd May, our Center Director, we would like to give you our sincere congratulations on your Distinguished Service Medal. Robin, personally, you have done so much for me and have given me so much mentoring and helpfulness as I have taken on my new role. You have always been a leader here at Marshall Space Flight Center who always put the people first. Your guidance, your ability to make strong decisions, and to manage complex situations is just amazing. Throughout your career, whether you're working on the microgravity program or when you took on the role as the Associate Director at Marshall Space Flight Center in 2012, you have always been a leader, which many of us looked for. You have guided us and given us the ability to maneuver through numerous circumstances and complexities that made us who we are today. You have led this center and you have made us stronger to go forward in the future. We really appreciate you and you really deserve this award.
Ms. Henderson is being recognized for 33 years of distinguished service to NASA that has made a profound impact on NASA's mission success. Ms. Brenda Manuel.
You know, diversity and inclusion is something about which I talked from the day I got here as the NASA administrator, but it was something that was personal to me and it was critically important. But in order to make it effective in an agency like NASA, because you're having to reach out to disparate centers, you're having to reach out to international partners, and you're having to reach out to your partners in academia and industry and getting them to understand why you think diversity and inclusion is important. I could not have asked for a better partner than Brenda Manuel in the Office of Diversity and Equal Opportunity. With a legal background, an incredible knowledge of the law with reference to civil rights and everything else, Brenda was just key in helping us to put together our plan for how we were going to tackle harassment in the workplace, how we were going to bring about diversity and inclusion, and how we were going to make our leaders stronger because they too were dedicated to increasing the diversity and inclusion in this organization. Brenda, thank you so much for what you did, not just for NASA, but for the nation, because you and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion were the keys to the White House coming to us quite frequently to help them put together programs that they just didn't have anybody who knew how to do it. You were awesome.
Ms. Manuel is being recognized for a distinguished career of outstanding leadership, dedication, and commitment to NASA's missions, and advancing diversity and inclusion. Your contributions will benefit the nation for generations to come. Ms. Deva Newman.
Words cannot express just how fantastic it was to get Dr. Newman to come aboard as the deputy here at NASA. Her performance, her inspiration for all of us, particularly in the areas of education and innovation, technology. She was the big S, the big T, the big I. And no one deserves this award any more than Deva. Deva, congratulations.
Ms. Newman is being recognized for extraordinary contributions and outstanding leadership of NASA and advancing our innovation and technology, STEM, and our nation in aeronautics and space. Mr. Albert Sofji.
Al Sofji retired from NASA earlier this year after more than 40 years of dedicated service. However, before he departed from the agency, it was my pleasure to nominate Al for one of NASA's highest honors, the NASA Distinguished Service Medal, in recognition of his tireless efforts to promote human exploration internationally. Al started working with NASA, the Kennedy Space Center, immediately out of college, first supporting the Apollo program and later the Space Shuttle program. Al continued his distinguished career at NASA headquarters, supporting the launch services and International Space Station programs. In 2004, he came to the Office of International and Interagency Relations, where he served as our Director for Human Exploration and Operations. In that capacity, he used his vast human spaceflight experience to lead NASA's engagement with international partners around the world. I'm very proud to say that Al is recognized across NASA and with all of our international partners as a gentleman and a true international relations professional. His distinguished NASA career spans centers, missions, programs, and disciplines, and his wise counsel and leadership have made lasting contributions to NASA's human exploration activities. Congratulations, Al.
Mr. Sofji is being recognized for more than 4 decades of sustained professionalism, leadership, and dedication to advancing human space exploration, a legacy that lives on in those he inspired at NASA and with our international partners. Dr. Ellen Stofan.
You know, you don't often hear people refer to a Renaissance woman. Dr. Ellen Stofan was my Renaissance woman. She came to NASA to help us in the science arena. When she came in and agreed to serve as the chief scientist, I expressed my desire for Ellen to be my brains, my conscience, if you will, about the science community. And let me tell you, Ellen just jumped in with both feet. Not only did she help us here at NASA, but she helped the entire federal government. She helped us with all of our international partners. She was magic when it came to meeting with students and talking to them and getting them inspired and fired up about STEM education. So, Ellen, I sure wish you had stayed on and kind of stayed even after I left, because we miss you dearly. You were awesome as the agency's chief scientist, and congratulations on receiving this award.
Dr. Stofan is being recognized for outstanding leadership, dedication, and commitment to NASA's science program and mission. Your contributions will benefit the nation for generations to come. Mr. Michael Dorsch.
Well, Mike Dorsch has been critical in the development of the Antares rocket, which is a medium-class launch vehicle that provides services to the ISS and the science that it performs. This critical operation and development of this vehicle was an integrated work between Orbital ATK, the Ukraine, and the Russians, and he was able to overcome many challenges in creating this new capability for ISS, and has been critical in delivering thousands of kilograms of goods and services to the space station for use.
Mr. Dorsch is being recognized for exceptional success in developing commercial resupply services to the International Space Station. Mr. Roger Launius.
I nominated Roger Launius for the NASA Distinguished Service Medal for his long service to NASA history and the NASA in general. In the dozen years that he was our chief historian, from 1990 to 2002, he completely revolutionized the NASA history program, increasing our production of books and publications, but also establishing a beachhead on the internet in its very early days, so that the NASA history site is now one of the most valuable sources of information about our past that people go to all the time. In the 15 years since he left NASA in 2002, working at the National Air and Space Museum, Roger's continued to be an incredible advocate, publishing over a dozen books, 4 of those for the NASA history program, and 2 of which won the American Institute for Aeronautics and Astronautics History Manuscript Book Prize. Roger's been an incredible advocate, both in writing and also as a writer of editorials and other thought pieces, analysis pieces for various organizations, and he has been a good friend of the history program for years and years. He is certainly well-deserving of this recognition.
Mr. Launius is being recognized for distinguished service promoting our nation's history in aeronautics, space, and selfless leadership in promoting the highest standards in federal historical endeavors.
Well, our acting administrator, Robert Lightfoot, said it best earlier when he said this is a celebration. So let's give all of our distinguished honorees another round of well-deserved applause for their outstanding and valuable contributions to NASA. On behalf of the agency, we thank each of the extraordinary honorees for their distinguished service, and we wish you continued success in all of your future endeavors. We'd also like to extend our special appreciation to Mr. Lightfoot, Ms. Rowe, Dr. Bowles, the Woodside High School DeMeister Singers, the Joint Base Langley Color Guard, the ceremony staff and volunteers, and to our host, the Langley Research Center, for all of your contributions in making today's ceremony a success. Congratulations on 100 years of amazing and inspiring discoveries. At NASA, our accomplishments are built on the hard work and the legacy of those who have come before us. We thank all of you for joining us today, and specifically today's honorees for giving us a strong and amazing foundation to continue making the impossible possible as we reach for new heights.